Aw,
Hey.
thanks, Sean.
What's up?
You're our highlight of the week.
This is my highlight of the year. Every week I get a highlight of the year.
We're wearing some of our festive
Gear?
Make it snow.
Our holiday
and
gear.
I'm a big Fallout fan, so I got my new Coca-Cola Christmas shirt.
You know what I realized about myself? That I'm a giant nerd, and I look like
You
one.
just realized that?
Just recently. It's taken 47 years to come to this conclusion.
I've embraced that for a while.
But you know why? I've found that when I wear a sweater like this,
Yeah.
I look exceptionally nerdy, like to a level that I finally noticed it. So that's good, huh?
It's why I liked you.
Okay, good.
what
Yep,
attracted-
you saw my TiVo and my Sega Dreamcast.
Honestly,
and she's like, "That's my man."
that's what attracted me to you.
I think we told this story before. I had like a Mazda Miata or
It was a Mitsubishi Eclipse.
Mitsubishi Eclipse. I don't even know what car I had. And I was like, "Hey, look at my car, lady person."
I was like, I don't care about that, but
And
I
she's
do
like,
like your TiVo.
I do like the fact that I can record my shows. Thank you. Well, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's the morning show. I'm Marc,
And I'm Nicole.
and I've got plenty of water here because I'm going to need it.
I got some cute little coffee from
A little
Dunkin'.
bit of Dunkin'.
We had a demo last night for Guild Plus.
Yeah. Back-to-back lives.
Yeah, back-to-back lives.
Partied last night. We're partying again
Feel
this morning.
hungover.
I always feel
And
hungover.
I did not drink a drop.
Yeah, we don't drink.
Got a ton of people in the chat.
Well, hey,
saying
everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
What's up, chat people?
John even said, you just realized you're a nerd. Yeah.
Look, sometimes it takes a while to sink in, especially when I ride my bike and I got real tight clothes on. And I'm like, what happened to me? I used to be cool. And then I realized, nope, never was.
Never was.
All right, so today's
in
show,
mind.
if you're not familiar with the format, we've got some news, couple of announcements, a couple things to show off, and then it's all questions. These
Yep.
questions come from YouTube, they come from Patreon supporters, YouTube supporters, and then of course if you're here live in the chat room, Nicole can grab your question, and then we could try to answer it.
Do you feel like the holiday time is like whooshing by?
It's coming and going very fast. yeah.
Very fast.
Well, we also didn't really decorate as much as we usually do, and I think that makes it go by faster. Our tree is only 1/4 decorated because
Ava
my
and
daughter
my cousin
and my
and her
nieces, all of them, little tiny littles, came over. So the tree is decorated in one section, 4 feet and below.
Yeah. I'm
Nothing
just
else is
waiting to
decorated.
see if anybody other than me will fix it.
Oh no, it's not going to happen. The only thing they care about with the tree is what's under it.
Yeah.
When the time comes.
Yeah. So if you're live with us and you have questions, please ask those questions. I have a little mechanism where I can star it and we can come back to it as we kind of go through the format of the show.
Yeah.
So what's going on?
Okay, quick
Oh, yeah.
announcement. We have one more week to get Frank Strazza's Marquetry and
Combo.
Table combo. It's a bundle. I've got a video to play here.
Oh, you do. You do.
what you
yeah.
doing?
Yeah. Okay.
My name is Frank Strazza. I've been a furniture maker for over 30 years. In this guild project, we're going to build this table entirely with hand tools. You're going to learn how to use multiple different type of tools, including hand saws, planes, chisels. You'll learn how to sharpen the tools, the proper technique for using them. You're going to learn hand-cut joinery, accurate layout. You're going to learn how to cut mortise and tenons by hand. You're going to learn how to cut half-blind dovetails through dovetails. You'll learn how to make a drawer fit perfectly. So many different skills by hand. For those of y'all that are hybrid woodworkers and use both machines and hand tools, I think you'll find this course very helpful. Learning and honing your hand skills is extremely important, even if you do use machines in the shop. Using hand tools can elevate your work to the next level. It gives you so much more control. Using hand tools gives you a freedom that you don't have necessarily with a machine. And oftentimes it can be faster because you don't have the setup that you would with a machine. So you may choose to do some of this project with machines, and you may want to do some of it with hand tools or all of it by hand. If you'd like to learn how to personalize this project, check out my Marquetry video, also available in the Guild. We're going to delve into the world of Marquetry. There's so many secrets enshrouded around Marquetry, but I'm going to unlock those secrets in this course, and you're going to be able to learn how to personalize a project just like this, creating lettering with double bevel marquetry. The name Marquetry means painting with wood. With this Marquetry course, we're really just barely scratching the surface. There's so many different methods and techniques for marquetry. I'm going to show you the double bevel method, and we're going to just focus on how to personalize your project and create some lettering. The great thing about hand cutting marquetry is anybody can do it in any space. You don't need a big shop full of tools. You can literally do this at your kitchen table if you want. All you need is a handheld fret saw, some good blades, a little drill, a tiny little drill, and this donkey's ear or bird's mouth, which will clamp inside a vise or to your bench. This being held at an angle will allow you to be able to cut perfect cuts with 0 gaps. For more information, visit thewoodwhispererguild.com.
So 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, when you put it in this context, feels like an eternity to me. I mean, it's good information. Frank is the man, but it is ultimately an ad.
And we will be doing a preview party.
Next week,
next
Thursday?
Wednesday. And I'm going to put a link in the chat. So if you want to set a YouTube reminder so you don't miss it, you can do that as well, and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, so right now, both of those courses are discounted. One is going to release next week, that's Marquetry. The next one is the table, that's the second part of the bundle, that releases in January, so it'll be after Christmas. But you can get them both for an extra low price. I think you're saving 20% on the whole kit and caboodle.
That's true.
And Frank is the man, and his marquetry is excellent. The whole thing is with hand tools. So those of you who are like, hey Mark, when are you going to do a project just hand tools? I'm like, I did one. It just wasn't me. I gave it, but I'm giving it to you guys. Let Frank do the hard work.
Mooney says next level stuff.
It is. It
but
really is.
But it's still an intro. It's like you want to. So I could watch it and potentially do it.
Anybody can do it.
Yeah.
This is very beginner-friendly stuff here.
I know. A lot of people will say to us, "Well, I'm not ready to join the guild. I'm not
there yet.
I'm not good enough yet." That's not the point.
You are there.
You're there.
Yep. It's really most of the projects in the guild are intended for beginners.
Yeah.
We're walking you through the process. So, all right, I want to show you guys something really fun. I got a little package in the mail. We don't do like unboxings very often, but I have to do this. So let me give you a little backstory. I did an interview in Guild Plus. Guild Plus subscribers can go listen to that right now and watch that with Ashley Harwood. Renowned turner, right? Well, Ashley, and I just texted her because I don't want to misspeak. I don't know if Evan is her boyfriend, her fiance, or just a buddy.
Partner.
I don't know, her partner. I don't want to misspeak. But anyway, he helped her make a baby, so there's that. He turns out the guy is an incredible artist.
Yes.
He's a photographer, but also an artist. And he was in the mood to paint a bulldog. Guess what we have? We have a bulldog.
I love that it was addressed to Duggee.
It was. Yep, care of the Wood Whisperer.
Yeah.
So I would like to unveil to you guys the official Duggee.
What?
This is directly from a photo I took in Colorado of my boy. And look,
He painted that.
I mean, it looks like the photo, but someone made the photo better.
Yeah.
Right? It's so
does
realistic.
Does he do commissions?
So that's what I wanted to tell you guys. Ooh, it smells like something.
Paint.
It smells like paint, or maybe a clear coat or something. Anyway, I did want to let you know. You can go to his Instagram, which is Evan, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly, Latner.
I'll link in the show notes too.
EVANLAETTNER. So go to his Instagram, and I do believe he is taking commissions. So if you are looking to maybe...
Evan Latner.
Yeah, so he's the man. He's got the skills to pay the bills, yo. But this... I'm actually, my jaw dropped when I first saw one of the early pictures. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. It looks so great. So I will be doing some kind of a floating frame for this because this is going on the wall and never coming down. But anyway, I will probably talk about this in social media stuff too. He does have a website, but I think you could probably
It's more geared towards his photography.
The website is based on his photography, but there is a contact form there, an email, phone number, all that stuff. So if you want to commission this dude to make probably one of the most special gifts anybody could receive for Christmas.
Yeah.
I don't know how fast he can turn it around at this point. We're getting pretty close to the holidays, but look at this. They're just amazing. Duggee is such a stud.
Right next to my TJ Maxx Oreo.
Yeah, except for this one is not printed in China.
Yeah,
there's a big difference. So anyway, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Evan.
Yes, thank you.
Incredibly talented.
I love it.
Look at the skill. Look at the skill, and look at that snaggletooth. That's my boy. I sit on the couch watching
Duggee.
YouTube next to that.
He was snoring a lot last night. You know, when you get a bulldog, everybody's like, oh, the snoring. He didn't snore for a really long time.
He didn't snore, he didn't
Just
fart.
recently. that we've gotten into the snoring and the farting.
Ashley's official reference for Evan is baby daddy. I'm okay with that because that's kind of what I called him too. All right, so anyway, thank you.
Yes,
hope you
thank
guys
you,
like
Evan.
seeing that. It's pretty cool. Let's get to some questions.
Let's get to some questions. I am grabbing questions from the chat.
Okay.
Can I ask one? Because Kizzy is in the chat and she's finally, help, I have woodworms.
Whoa. Well,
What is,
I'm not a doctor.
Kizzy, I don't know if you have more information on that, but have you ever had woodworms?
Well, pests can be a real problem.
Yeah.
And depending on where the wood came from,
Oh, yeah.
how it was stored, there can be like powder, what do you call it? Powder post
Powder,
beetles
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. There's all kinds of nasties. I don't know exactly what you want to do. In my case, unless it's a very large quantity of wood or something like that, I usually just try to get rid of it because the last thing you want is for that to contaminate any other wood that you have in your collection. But I've heard of heat treatments can certainly be used. You basically are heating them to death. There are you're cooking them. There are chemical treatments that can be done as well, but you really have to ask yourself, how much do you want to put into saving this material, and is it really worth your time? But I am not the guy to give you the specifics on how to do that. Maybe in the chat room somebody can link, or a good Google search might get you some results. But I'm very hesitant to do any kind of like excessively involved treatment to get rid of pests. What I do with pests is I get rid of the pests, like get them gone, get them out of here, because the last thing I want is them to find my stash.
Right, because it could infect.
It definitely can spread.
Yep.
So be careful with that. Okay, I got a question from Ken.
These came from Patreon and YouTube members.
Jeez.
So I know we've had a couple of I saw a couple new YouTube members subscribed before we went in. So thank you for doing that. So.
Okay, is there a place in the hobbyist shop for a jointer plane? I already have a full complement of regular bench planes, a Veritas jack plane, a Wood River jack plane. Why you got 2 jacks, yo? A Veritas smoother, several block planes, shoulder planes, and a router plane. I also have an 8-inch jointer, the kind that plugs in and eats electrons. I have an opportunity to buy a Lie-Nielsen jointer plane at a pretty reasonable price, and I've always kind of felt that my collection of planes isn't complete until I have one. But I honestly can't think of a time when I would think it was necessary for a project. Even for a big tabletop glue-up, I feel like I'd use my jointer and my regular jointer and jack plane to get perfectly acceptable results. Is there something I'm missing about having a jointer plane? Do you find yourself reaching for yours regularly? Thanks for all you do, Ken. Well, Ken, I don't have one either. I sold mine ages ago. I no longer have one. My biggest plane.
A jack plane?
Yeah, no, number 7 or number 8 jointer plane.
Yeah.
My biggest plane is right there. It's a jack plane. Careful, careful, careful.
Oh.
That's just a bad angle. The jack plane is pretty substantial in terms of the length. You don't necessarily need to go to a jointer plane, especially if you have a jointer. This is, I think, an important thing for people to think about when it comes to tool acquisition. If you are just looking to add to your collection, that's one thing, right? And a lot of us are hobbyists. We have spare funds and we want to make our collection look awesome. And even if you don't use it all the time, you still want that in your collection. Nothing wrong with that. But usage-wise, I think you have the answer. You haven't needed it. You haven't been inclined to go, hey, I really wish I had that giant ass hand plane. So then don't worry about it if you don't need it. So I think this really comes down to just being smart about your purchases. If the funds are there, you want it, go buy it. But I think you answered
the set.
Yeah, but I think you answered your own question. You've got a jointer. With that jointer and with the jack plane, you could pretty much do everything that you need to do, and also further evidence by the fact that I don't even have one anymore. I had a Lie-Nielsen number 7, I believe it was. Absolutely gorgeous, but it never got used. And I just felt like it was a waste to carry this thing around and all the real estate it takes up, because it is like a little aircraft carrier. So I don't think you need it at all. But if you want it, go buy it.
Kizzy, powder post beetles in the walnut and cherry that was given to me. And Tristan said, if the stuff's bad, quarantine it and check to see if new sawdust comes out of it. Is due.
If they do, yeah, or if they don't, if you don't see the dust.
Yeah.
That's usually the first indication that people find, is they see a little pile of dust, and it's never a great thing. So, but yeah, quarantine. Absolutely. You want to social distance your wood.
Do you ever, when you brought that walnut in that you got from Craig?
No, I'm sloppy. A lot of times. Technically, this particular load of walnut, because I had so much to bring in, it's sitting on the floor and it is,
Next to the other stuff.
but it's about 10 feet away from that other stuff.
Yeah.
Normally, though, I don't think about it. I will at some point get bitten in the butt with some kind of pest. I'm sure it'll happen. I'm living dangerously. Okay.
Flying by the seat of his pants.
That's what I does. Okay, you got a question or should I go on?
You can go on. I got more questions.
Did I mention that was Ken's question before? It was Ken's question.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah, Ken.
We got another question here, and I'm real bad about copying people's names into here. This one is about,
Where was this, Patreon?
this was off YouTube.
There was only one on YouTube.
No, there are 3 on YouTube, 1 on Patreon. Okay, nobody cares about
Nobody
this.
cares.
Whoever this is, if you could find their name, says,
I'll
I am
look.
so glad to have found your channel. I've watched a better way to apply oil finishes, and I have a tung oil question for you. He says, what steps do I take to fix my new walnut island after using the flooding method with Real Milk Paint Company's half and half product? If you haven't seen that video, it's about how a lot of companies and people will recommend with a oil finish that you flood it on and let it soak in and sometimes leave it there for hours and come back and wipe off the excess. And my assertion was that is incorrect and bad advice, and this is some more evidence.
This is Jewel
327. So here's what happened, the long version of the story. I sanded the walnut island from 80 to 240. That sounds good. I applied half and half using the flood method found on the container. Now half and half, by the way, is tung oil and citrus solvent, 50-50 mix. So it's a little bit thinner, but it is I don't know if it's a polymerized tung oil, but either way, it will dry eventually. Next morning, it was dry to the touch, but soon developed a whitish haze, which was easily scratched with a fingernail, as well as oil spots, which I continued to wipe off. After watching your video, I kept wiping off the excess oil for a couple of weeks until I didn't see any more. That's good. I did a light sanding using a sander with 320 grit paper, but I immediately saw a lot of oil coming to the surface. Then I applied a very thin, this is where he went off, I applied a very thin coat of the half and half, just enough to blend in the seeping oil, and wiped it immediately. That's essentially like I've got an oil fire, so I got a bottle of oil and poured it on top to try to stop it. You know what I mean? It's like, or I'm drowning, here's an extra cup of water.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I give you more analogies?
No, just move along.
2 days later, I have an uneven blotchy surface with a combination of light oil seeping, some shiny dried oil, and some light fingernail scratching. Am I correct in thinking that I should wait a few days until the seeping has slowed and then repeat 5 and 6 until I have the desired finish? No, do not do that.
No.
Is there anything I should do differently? Yes. I'm new to drying oil finishes, but I hope I'm overthinking this. I just need to trust the process. Thank you for your time. P.S. I love that you believe in science. Here's the great thing about science. You don't need to believe in it.
Yeah,
it's just
that's it.
questions and answers. Okay, anyway. This is one of the problems with that type of instructions, and I don't know why. Go watch that video. I've ranted about it there.
What video?
The one on applying oil finishes. I think a better way to apply oil finishes. I don't know why these companies do this. It will work on some woods where you flood it, wipe off anything that doesn't soak in, and it's fine. But in a lot of woods, it will soak in and then over time kind of leach its way back out to the surface, causing all kinds of problems. And oil, an oil finish like that, even diluted, needs oxygen to cure. And if you put too much, you put oil on top of oil. Have you ever seen where like oil maybe gets a skin on the top?
Yeah.
And finishes will do this in a can, it gets a skin because that's the part that contacted some oxygen in the air. So if you have a very deep layer of oil, the stuff under the surface just never gets enough air contact and it stays kind of a sticky mess. And that's what he's doing here. When you apply, or she, when you put that much oil on the surface and you're really flooding it on there, you're just putting so much oil down into the grain that never gets a good chance to hit that air, and then it doesn't cure properly. And then if it's still not cured properly and you put more on top of it, that totally exacerbates the situation.
And since you're new to oil or finishing too, you should probably mention about oily rags.
Okay.
And you're making sure you're...
Yeah, if you are using oils like this, you always want to lay your rags out in a single layer, put them out in the driveway or something, just make sure they dry completely before you throw them away.
Up.
Yeah, that's how fires start.
Combust.
And that's definitely something that happens. So how do you fix this? This is a thing that might be able to be solved with time. If you want to try to rush the process a little bit, make sure that this material, the tabletop that you're talking about or countertop, is in a warm environment. It doesn't hurt to maybe take a little bit of not the mixture they send you, not the half and half, but some citrus solvent. Just get regular citrus solvent, D-limonene, and wipe the surface down. That can help kind of disperse the oil, wipe some of the oil off the surface, and then let it be and see what happens. Ideally, in a few weeks, most of that will dry, or the surface will dry enough that you can do that 320 grit sanding and you won't see all of the spotting, but it can take a long time.
David D agrees. Had the same issue with oil curing a few years back with the tabletop. It kept getting dots of uncured oil on the surface for a week or two. I let it dry for 2 weeks and then used thin coats.
Yeah, so from that point, super thin coats. That's if the oil doesn't keep seeping to the surface, it's absolutely got to be dry. And then when I say thin coats, after you do that 320 sanding, when I mean a thin coat, I'm talking a thin coat. You're not taking like a big brush and painting it on. You're taking a rag, and preferably if you can get one of those, I was going to say use the maker's pads, but you're going to be a little aggressive with this. And the maker's pads would work for that as well. But what I want you to do is just kind of get a little bit of finish on there, and you're really buffing it into the surface. You just want to get rid of any of the white haze that would be on the surface, and you want to make it look like wood again. You're applying those coats very, very lightly, very minimally, and that should start to get you down the path that you need to be. But it bothers me so much that companies make this recommendation. And I've had a couple people go, hey, Marc's wrong because I tried it with the flooding method and it turned out fine. That's not me being wrong. That's sometimes it works. But if it doesn't work in some cases, then you need to find a different way to apply it. And even on the cases where it works, the flooding method works, you still could have done it with the thin method and it would have worked just fine too.
And you wouldn't have been wasting material.
You wouldn't have been wasting material and time potentially. Okay?
I got a question here from Gary.
That was a long answer.
That was a long question and
There's
answer.
a missile in my house, Gary.
Gary wants to know, are there different hardnesses to the carbide for a helical planer blade?
Look, if you really want to give me a question that I can't answer, ask me about metallurgy. Also,
are the carbide, are the helical, are they all kind of created the same?
Yeah, so they're usually these little carbide inserts, four-sided, so you could turn them. I love them. I've got them on my planer and my jointer. When it comes to the carbide hardness and different grades, I don't know.
I don't know.
It's carbide to me. I know carbide when I talk about it relative to other things that we commonly have in tooling, but carbide in its own family of products, I don't know. Not a good person to ask, sorry.
Piggybacking on the finishing question, Richard wants to know, something I've always wondered, can you speed up the cure time by placing it into a high O2 environment, like a tent filled with O2? I don't know. Can you speed that up? But you just said put it in a warm room.
And it's not so much just oxygen. A lot of times what you want is fresh air.
Right.
So if you can keep it, the ideal conditions would be a place where you might dry lumber and not with moisture. But what I'm saying is in a kiln, for instance, not one with moisture added, but in a regular kiln where there's heat and air movement. Think about a blow dryer, right? You got a blow dryer in a box, and then you could actually ventilate the fumes.
Can I stand there with my blow dryer?
You might. I have done that.
Oh, you have?
I have, like on small pieces that I was trying to rush the finishing on, I've sat there with the heat gun on low, and I have tried that. Oh, who's calling me? Don't you?
Did it work?
I bet you this is my truck.
His
Well,
truck's
I'm not going to answer that. My truck's in the shop. Oh, they hung up. They were like, oh, he's doing a live show. So putting it in a tent, I guess this is a theoretical question because that would be a silly thing to do. But theoretically, adding more oxygen, I don't know for sure. I think it's more important to have a good high temperature and air exchange so that you're getting, you're allowing this thing to kind of off gas, and replacing it with fresh air is probably the best course of action. So, but that would be an interesting test to see, like if you are putting it in closer to a pure oxygen environment, how much of that will speed it up, I don't know.
Science.
Yeah. Okay.
Next question.
Next question is from...
You don't have the name, but I'll get
Nope,
it for
it's
you.
NiceLikeIceOverRice.
What?
That's the name, NiceLikeIceOverRice.
Nice.
Maybe the best screen name we've ever seen. They say, I was browsing some recent promotions and saw that Blue Spruce had some of their thicker card scrapers on sale. Have you ever tried that style of card scraper before? Personally, not having to maintain a bend while using it seems like it's extra appealing to me, but I haven't had a chance to try it in person.
Do we sell?
I used to.
Oh.
Yeah, we used to sell a thick card scraper. Here's my Stu Mac one. I've got one that's like from guitar making
You're
thing.
missing a bunch.
It's a super chunky one.
Chunky.
They can be good, but here's the thing. You're saying you don't have to flex, but part of what makes a card scraper work correctly and dig in the way that you need it to is the fact that you've got a little bit of flexibility. In fact, Nicole, here is the old chunky one.
Oh, that is the
big
chunk-
boy.
yeah.
It's a little dusty,
Yeah.
so it's slippery.
Has our old logo on it.
You do want a little bit of flex in there because if you're trying to scrape a surface and you just want this thing to maintain a flat edge, you're probably going to wind up nicking the corners, or the corners will scrape the wood. So if you're going to do that, you definitely want to maybe file down the corners a little bit, but you kind of create almost like a cambered blade in a hand plane. You're making that little bit of a bend, and that's allowing you to really focus your pressure. So even with a thicker card scraper, I always find that the thicker ones are harder to use because you can't bend them as you're trying to scrape them across the surface. So it might be worth a try, see if you like it, but generally speaking, for me, I like this kind of thicker scraper when I do like a pulling action. For whatever reason, getting into like a nice corner or something, I find that a lot easier to pull because I'm not bending when I'm pulling, right? So I'm able to kind of just run it straight across the surface. But when I push, just the way you're holding a card scraper, your natural inclination when you push forward is going to be to bend it. And I don't know that it's super beneficial that it doesn't bend at all. So I don't know about Blue Spruce's thicker scrapers. I don't know if they're this thickness or thicker. So the ones I have from Stu Mac, they're almost a 1/4 inch in thickness, right? That's real specialized.
How thick are ours?
That's our regular mouse card scraper is pretty standard
It
thickness.
says overall, it says right there.
Right there, yeah, 0.032 on our regular scrapers. So I don't know exactly how thick the Blue Spruce ones are, but get one, try it out. I mean, you might, even if it's not your favorite scraper,
Hey,
look at this.
if you happen to be looking for a scraper, we have 5 left in stock.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they're
really?
$20, and they're going to be, the price is going to probably go up as soon as we sell out of them.
Yeah, because I haven't ordered them
haven't
in a long time, so
years.
we had locked in a low price.
It's a low price.
Scrapers, I have a lot of them, and I recommend you get some. They're good.
They're great.
So having a variety of them is probably a good thing.
Got a question here from Douglas Carlson. Need some advice on a tool. I recently started the Fremont side table.
Good.
Got all of Millions complete. Long story.
That I've been using for our kitchen knives. But when it comes to chisels and plane blades, I use a very similar system to what I've been using for years. So we have a couple of links. One is an old video. It was a capture from a live back before the tech was really good at doing that stuff. The info's there.
Tech hasn't gotten better. We just had another drop.
Oh, here?
Yeah, we probably need to reboot the router or something.
We got to reboot it.
Reboot it.
But no, the capture isn't that great. But there is a video called My Sharpening System.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That shows how I go about it. And then also we have another one that is a cheaper method called Scary Sharp. So Nicole has links to those that she could put in there. The method I use, I like to have a jig. I can certainly sharpen freehand, but I really like having a jig, especially when I'm doing a lot of sharpening. I tend to batch sharpen. So when it's sharpening day, lots of things are getting sharpened, which is why I like to have a jig, because then I could kind of turn my brain off and just go. I use the Woodpecker's jig, which I don't even know what the status of that is on the Woodpecker site, but I love it. Sometimes woodpeckers can be a little hit or miss with some of their creations, but when they hit, I think they hit hard. And this one is a fantastic product. I like the sharpening jig. I use Shapton Waterstones. I use 1,000, 5,000, and 8,000. And then I also have some D&T things for the lower grits. That's the diamond encrusted plates. I have the lower ones for not just doing like coarse work to reset a bevel and stuff like that, but I also use those to flatten my Shapton Waterstones, the ceramic Waterstones. So that's the system that I employ. Ooh. Should I go to Tim's question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Tim Tuttle. I've recently fallen madly in love with hide glue and now pretty much avoid PVA whenever possible. My next project is a small guest powder room vanity. Obviously, it'll get wet from time to time, but is that enough to prevent me from using hide glue, or should I be using Titebond 2 or 3? So I also have kind of fallen in love with hide glue. It's just easy cleanup. It's cleans up with water. It can be reactivated with heat and moisture. You can pull a joint apart. So that's his concern. If you use hide glue for something like a vanity, is that going to be a problem? I think if you're going for something...
They're saying the mic is cutting in and out. I'm sorry, we got technical difficulties.
Okay, well, there's nothing I could do about it.
Okay. It's showing good on our side. Reboot, refresh your feed.
Well, I don't know. The problem is live. There is so little I can do for troubleshooting. If all the
Yeah.
little things are green for me and
Yep.
that's green, then we're victims of the technology.
We're
so
victims.
It sucks if that's happening, and I apologize.
They're saying there's no sound at all.
No sound at all. Well, that's terrible. Look, see, that tells us that our sound is good.
Yeah.
What we're sending out is good. It's just a matter of what happens after that
Tristan
point.
said if you refresh your
Okay.
feed, it should work it out.
There you go.
Work it out.
Sorry, guys, it's technology. What are you going to do? The fiber guys refused to install my line.
Yeah.
So I totally lost track of where I was. Oh, okay.
The PVA.
So the thing is, though, if you're talking about like a cutting board, sure, that's a bad idea. But with a vanity, you're talking about ambient moisture. Let's say someone is taking a shower, but a lot of times we have fans, ventilation fans that are going to evacuate the moisture. A little bit of splash sort of thing that can happen. Someone washing their hands or getting out of the shower, you might get a little bit of splash. But I think that's so minor that I wouldn't hesitate to use hide glue on something like that, assuming you have good ventilation in there. Part of the reason is because this is also a guest powder room vanity. So now I said shower, there won't be showers in there. It's a guest toilet and sink. You're really not getting it used that often. It's not getting wet that often. So I wouldn't hesitate to use hide glue for something like that. But if you have doubts, go ahead and use the other stuff. There's nothing wrong with Titebond 2 and 3. I use it all the time. I mean, that's the thing. So we'll put the link in there. Titebond liquid hide glue is the one that I use the most. Fantastic product. It just gives you a long working time. The water cleanup, just those two things make it, it's a nice alternative to epoxy. I often will use epoxy when I need that extra working time, but I don't have to anymore because I'm using this liquid hide glue stuff. It's pretty darn good.
Cool. Ooh.
Audio better?
Everybody that's refreshed said that there's no problems now.
Well, hopefully it clears up.
I got a question here from Jesus.
Jesus.
I bought the Strazza bundle, excited to try Marquetry. Is there a good quality 12-inch fret saw you would recommend?
Well, there's probably a lot of them out there. Here's the thing with a fret saw, you don't need like a crazy good one. A fret saw is such a basic, and coping saws also are just basic devices. You know, it's just something very, very simple like what we have here. This kind of thing. So the blade just stretches right across here. I'm going to recommend Rob Kosman's if you want a smaller one. If you're looking for something with a bigger frame, which sometimes with Marquetry, you would want that, and I'm hooked and I can't get it off. You see this? You guys can see this up here, can you? Or no? Maybe you can't. There we go.
What is that one?
This is New Concepts. KN.
Oh, this one.
Yep.
Is it 5 inches?
KNEW. No, that one is like their smaller one, but that would probably work too. The idea being with something like this, it gives you more room to work before you get some kind of conflict with the back of the frame. So sometimes these fret saws and coping saws can look kind of silly because they've got this giant framework and this teeny tiny blade, but sometimes that's what you need. So there's just a couple of recommendations. I got to look at what Frank recommends. I think we're slacking on the recommended tools for that
Todd
course.
just said that he's done with the write-up.
Oh, is he?
Yep.
I can't remember if I put the required tools on there or not. If Frank gave those to me yet. We'll get them on there.
We'll make sure it's there.
Jess. All right, Ted McMahon says, that's an old inside joke.
Yeah.
What shop headphones, okay, this was on Facebook, wasn't it? What shop headphones and earbuds are people using now? My IsoTunes bit the dust and I need a replacement. So I've tried a lot.
You have, that's why.
I don't think you guys can see it, but there is a rack of headphones that makes it look like we have like 20 people here working at all times. We do not. I'm just indecisive.
Yeah.
I keep going back. Out of all of the hearing protection that I've used over the years, all the different options that I have, I keep going back to the 3M WorkTunes. It's a solid, classic
Are they
Bluetooth
Bluetooth?
headset.
Yeah.
Yep, it is Bluetooth. And I highly, highly recommend you spend a few extra bucks and get the ones with the gel pads. These are just like, feel them, Nicole.
Jelly.
Soft little pillows
it's cold too.
that caress your ear holes. They're very comfortable if you have to wear glasses, which you should anyway, because you would have safety glasses on and hearing protection at the same time. It doesn't dig so much into your temples and cause you problems there. These are fantastic. I've been using the heck out of them. I will say these are several, what?
You bought them in 2020.
2020.
So they're 4 years old.
So 4 years old. I use the heck out of them. They still work. But I will tell you, I just now started to get a Bluetooth problem with this.
Oh.
So I'll connect it, and then the Bluetooth drops. But the weird thing is, I don't know if it's my phone.
Or they even have a gift bundle where you can get a pair of safety glasses with them.
There you go. I don't know if it's my phone or if it's the headset. And I watched my phone the other day in my Bluetooth settings, and I did see my Bluetooth like flicker off and back on, which leads me to believe that it's actually the phone and not these guys to blame. So highly recommend these.
Tristan says, I'm wearing those right now. I wear them for hours and they're awesome.
Yeah, super comfortable. Get the gel ones 100%. It's well worth a few extra bucks.
Doug wants to know, do they have a high sound? Do they have sound high enough when using? I found the iTunes headphones to have too low a volume over the machinery.
Oh, IceOtunes.
Yeah.
It must autocorrect to iTunes.
Oh.
Is he typing on something Apple? So hold on a second. Do they have
a high enough sound when using?
It's high enough for me. I mean, everybody's hearing is a little bit different. You certainly
And it's
you
noise
don't
canceling?
want.
Is it
Well,
noise
not noise canceling. No, these are not like active noise cancellation. It is just brute force padding.
Gotcha.
The thing is, you have to be careful because if something is letting so much sound in that it's polluting the sound of the thing you're listening to, and then you turn the volume up on that. That's why IceOtunes, I believe, has a limiter on there. You can't turn it up past a certain decibel level, which is probably good, but these don't have that limit, and I have no problem turning it up to a comfortable listening volume. And the balance of what it keeps out and what it lets me listen to is pretty darn good. I got no problems with it.
Tim says, now that you mention it, do you have a safety glasses recommendation for someone who wears glasses? Do you wear safety glasses?
So I was thinking about doing a video of my favorite things that are not sponsored.
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody's going to be doing like holiday gift guides, and every single thing they link to is going to be something that they receive a kickback
I'm linking
for.
to our Amazon affiliates
Well, that's
throughout this whole show.
That's what this show is all about. You know that. Let me see if I could reach them over here, because one of the recommendations that I want to give is something I have no affiliation with this company at all. These are from Tactical RX.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe they are a Denver-based company, which means they must be cool. These are just regular old safety glasses, but they are prescription. And not only are they prescription, I have, what is that called? Progressive lenses. When it transitions from distance to close reading, they have that prescription in there as well. And I will tell you, it does take some getting used to. If you have progressive lenses, you put them in the safety glasses, the curvature does take some getting used to, but you will get used to it. It's kind of like when you first put on progressives. If you've never had them before, there's a little bit of an acclimation period. So these are fantastic. Tactical RX is the company. I believe they kind of specialize in like folks who are doing like tactical things and shooting and stuff like that. But obviously great for the workshop as well. In fact, I will tell you, customer service wise, they made my first set. I put them on and I'm like, something's off. This is weird. Like, not just that little distortion, but I just couldn't see things clearly, and they got the prescription wrong. So they immediately remade them, sent me another pair, and they've been solid ever since. You'll see me wear these in videos often, and it's not even totally obvious what I'm wearing because they kind of just look like regular glasses, except for they don't have the bottom rim. So that's my recommendation. There are other companies. Look around, but I've had great luck with them.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Mike Carberry
Yes.
wants to know, what got you into woodworking originally? What's your first memory of woodworking?
Well, my first memory of woodworking is building a box when I was a little boy, and I wanted to bury something like a time capsule in the backyard.
Oh, yeah.
So I built a little box out of some scraps that we must have had sitting around.
Time capsules were a thing when we were kids.
Heck yeah.
Our kids don't even think about time capsules.
Do you want to know what I put in my time capsule?
Well, a carrot.
I put a carrot?
I don't know. It's from Peppa Pig.
That would rot.
I know.
That's disgusting. So I built this little box, and then I screwed the lid on, and I buried it under a bush in my grandpop's backyard. Yeah, just this little bush against the wall.
Think it's still there?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think I
What's in
took
it?
it out. So what I put in it, if I remember correctly, I can't remember everything, but I put a few things. One of them was a comic book. I put in a catalog. And this was my favorite catalog. This is back in the JCPenney days. And this, look, I know it's a family show. But when I was a little young pup, I would look at the ladies section of the catalog and had a good time. And I thought that was worth hiding in case I needed it for an emergency. So somewhere in that backyard
How old were you?
in Trenton, New Jersey, I have no idea.
Yeah.
There is a box, a
But
plywood box with a JCPenney catalog in there.
They probably dug it up and go, what the hell?
Who would do this and why? So yeah, that's what I did. That was my first woodworking memory. But
Yeah.
when you go into like actual woodworking, from there, I built reptile enclosures when I was working at a pet store. I had a big iguana, and the enclosures for those get pretty expensive, at least for my budget at the time. So I used some like Home Depot wood and chicken wire and made myself a little enclosure. And then from that point on, it was like speaker boxes for my truck because I wanted to try to lose my hearing as fast as possible. All utility things like that. It wasn't until we got our first house.
Yeah.
We had a whole bunch of projects around the house that I thought I would fix. That's when I started to get a little more serious about it. But it was once those projects were done and then I had tools and then I found a couple episodes of Woodworks and New Yankee Workshop. That's when it clicked.
You started watching.
I could do something else with
You
them.
started watching Woodworks before we had our house. I remember we were in your mom's house and we were watching it.
Yeah, it was just something that really intrigued me,
Yeah.
watching David do what he did.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I had some of these tools sitting around, collecting dust because I didn't have anything else to make with them, that I'm like, maybe I can actually make a project with this.
You made a bookcase, I think, for your mom that you made her burn.
The crooked bookcase, yeah, my first bookcase, not a great one. But actually the first thing that was in that vein was when we wanted to replace the glass old medicine cabinet in the guest bathroom with a recessed little shelf
there was no
built in.
bedroom near it, so I was like, why is there a medicine cabinet in this bathroom?
I built this little thing and I was like, hey, this is kind of cool. Maybe I could do some more of this.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
Let's see, we got question.
Everybody's going to send me JCPenney catalogs for Christmas.
Do they still make them?
I don't know.
Yeah. Butch is in the chat for the first time watching.
Hey,
Hopefully you're
Butch.
still here.
What's happening?
Your thoughts on Oneida's Supercell dust collector? Getting ready to build my shop and thinking about installing one in the shop.
I don't have experience with that one. It seems pretty cool. If I remember correctly, the Supercell is the one that kind of has like a variable speed situation where it can just as well collect from small small power tools with a smaller hose, as well as it can collect from larger machines. You guys double check me on that. I think that's what that is. I can tell you if the specs meet your needs and what the intended use case is, if that matches what they say it's good for, Oneida is great. I love Oneida. They make great products, so I don't think you're going to have any problems. As long as the description meets the needs of your shop and it meets your budget, you can't go wrong with Oneida. They make great stuff. I'm just not that familiar with the Supercell unit.
You have the Dust Gorilla, right?
I have a Dust Gorilla, and I also have the walk-around portable Dust Gorilla. I think it's the mini Dust Gorilla, which is pretty fantastic. But again, the Supercell, I believe, is a specialized one because you typically don't want to use a big Cyclone, 4-inch hose and choke that down to something you would connect to a small power tool. So I think the Supercell gets around that with their whatever technology they use, that it can make adjustments to work on those smaller tools. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case.
Our wood buddy, Craig, is in the chat.
Hey, Craig.
Do you have a source for replacement hand plane blades? Are you still selling card scrapers? Yes, I have 5 left. So Craig, if you want one.
Come on by, Craig. You're in the area.
I'll set
Come
one
on by.
aside for you. They're the mouse scrapers. And do you have a source for replacing?
So of course the vendors of the tools,
Yeah.
They have their irons. If you don't want those, I believe Ron Hawk still sells aftermarket blades. So go to Hawk Tools. Ron's been in the game for a long time, and he used to be the guy to go to. Boy, did I spell that wrong. Back in the day when people wanted a higher quality blade, or maybe they got a fixer-upper plane that just came with like a real thin plane iron that was just crappy, you go to Hawk Tools. That's where you get your
Hawk Tools.
your blades. I'm pretty sure he's still. So, oh, look at that! Shop Hawk Tools at Lee Valley.
Oh,
So Lee Valley has some Hawk Tools. Interesting. Okay, good to know.
there you go. Tony Z is in the chat. Newbie question. What are 2 or 3 woods besides oak good for turning whiskey shop cups? I love the look of the laminated cutting boards and want to do whiskey shot cups with that look. Besides oak?
So oak can be a little bit problematic for anything with
He
liquid.
said besides oak.
But he brought up oak,
Yeah.
meaning he might already use that.
Oh, okay.
I think with oak, you got to be careful. Oak is a wood that generally, think of the wood like a bundle of straws. It will allow water, liquid, to seep through it without some kind of thing to seal it. So, I mean, obviously the liquid's not in there for very long before you take the shot, but ultimately I don't know that oak is even a good choice at all. Besides that, boy, this is tough. This is tough. I have a fundamental problem with liquid drinking vessels being made out of wood. Because wood, you know, you either have to...
What if you shellac or like coat it?
But I don't want to drink out of wood finish stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like something... Ooh, Nicole, you done it. They're coming after us. It's illegal to wear crappy sweaters in Flint Hill. So I don't really know for sure. I would have to do some research on different wood properties, which ones are the least likely to impart some kind of flavor to the alcohol that you're putting in there. You want something that isn't going to absorb a ton of the stuff and just kind of lay in there and get gross. That's why I just generally steer away from that. Like a lot of times you'll find, I don't know if you want to go through this trouble. I wonder if you could make like a shot glass, make it out of wood, but then grab one of those little things.
Inserts.
That's what I'm saying. Like
stainless steel inserts.
What do you call that little shot thing?
Tumbler?
Not a ramekin.
I don't
know. Not a tumbler. I don't know. You drinky people, what are we talking about?
You drinky people.
The thing where you put a little shot, you're making a mixed drink, something like that. What is that thing called? And there's a name for it. But I wonder if you can get one that you can actually use as an insert. So this way, instead, you've got like a stainless steel insert that won't react with the alcohol, but you get the joy of having something that actually looks like wood from the outside.
Tristan said Black Lotus.
Black Locust?
Locust.
Okay. Well, if you guys, Black Lotus, great show, right? Isn't that a show?
White Lotus.
White Lotus. I don't know. I don't watch TV. So I'm not sure. Yeah, hopefully the chat can give you some recommendations for things they've had success with. It's just something I haven't explored because the concept bothers me.
And Rick says Hawk Tools was bought by Lee Valley. Lake Erie Toolworks has replacement blades as well.
Oh, thanks, Rick. Appreciate that. A jigger. That's what I was looking for. I knew it was a name. And listen, when the name of the thing is jigger, you really don't want to start.
Yeah.
You don't want me coming up with that name live on a show because I'm probably going to mispronounce it, and it's going to be real problematic if I do. So a jigger that would have maybe flat outside surface that you might be able to...
I would think Woodcraft or Rockler would sell those kinds of inserts.
Maybe. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So, a bunch of people's asking about my shirt, my sweater. Like
the Coca-Cola?
for Nicole, my wife loved Fallout. It's still Fallout 76 is still going on. Any recommendations on other games to get her for her stocking?
For Nicole and her 5 friends, all enjoying that Fallout 76.
Any other games?
You haven't been playing any of the
I
games.
haven't really been playing.
Nicole's the wrong person to
Honestly,
ask.
I played Alan Wake 2. I love any... That game series is like playing a Stephen King book. Any Borderlands games, I love those. But yeah, not really. What are you playing right now?
I'm just thinking in the back of my mind, I keep rolling from one game to the next. I'm playing the latest Call of Duty Black Ops 6 campaign, which is fantastic. It's really, really good. I played...
Is it multiplayer?
The last Yakuza.
Can I go shoot you?
Well, there is multiplayer. That's all Call of Duty.
Yeah,
you have to work hard
Yeah.
to find the campaign when you download that game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Crap, I'm spacing. What was I playing right before that? I've been mixing a lot of different games. I played, what's it called?
If you go to our Amazon,
God, I can't remember the name of it.
If you go to Amazon.com/shop/The Wood Whisperer, we have a section called the games we play.
Yeah.
And I put a lot of the video games that we both play in there. So
I just keep mindlessly blowing through games until I played through that crappy Star Wars game that came out. That was difficult to get through.
Yeah.
It was fun sometimes.
And then MKE Gadgets. You like my sweater. Where did I get it? I got it probably 7 years ago from Bethesda. They don't sell it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just been in my closet, and I was like, I'll wear that today. I can't find it. So.
Oh, you know what I played that I put time into that's unexpected is Days Gone.
Oh, yeah.
If you're looking for a good narrative, fantastic game, Days Gone is so criminally underrated.
Yeah. So I'll add a few of those. I'll make sure that they're in that category for you if you're looking for something.
Yes. Remember we used to do the after show? We would talk about our video game, TV show, and movie reviews.
We did.
Good times.
Tick Nailer. I know your thoughts.
Ticky Nailer.
Ticky Nailer. I know your thoughts have changed over the years. Outside the Capex, do you feel that other sliders are worth the cost?
Yeah, of course. The Capex, I think, is like best in breed. It sucks that it's so much more expensive than the competition. But if you have a Bosch Glide, some of the Makita ones are good. Are they as good as the Capex? I don't think so. I think the Capex is one of the few that I trust to cross-cut and do my final cuts. Most other miter saws, when I do cross cuts, I find it like the cut is a little dished. It's not totally perfect. I don't really depend on it as much, and that's when I use my table saw with a sled or a miter gauge to make those cross cuts. But when I have the Capex, that's how I make most of my finished cross cuts, as long as they fit within the capacity of the saw. So I do think Capex is the best at what it does. That doesn't mean that the other ones don't have value. So I think the Bosch Glide is a good choice. I like that when I had it, as well as the Makita versions. Though I mention this all the time because I don't know if they solved the problem. They did have a fundamental problem with one of their new sliders that they seemed to fail to acknowledge. And it was a game breaker for me because I was hoping to switch to that. To get away from the Capex, but it didn't work out, and that was a few years ago. So I don't know if they've got that resolved, but absolutely, it's worth owning some of these other brands.
I don't have many games. I need to. Oh no, it says I have like 25 games in this category.
Outlaws is what
Outlaws, yeah. Oh, Immortals: Phoenix Rising. That's a PS4 game.
That's a fun game too.
That's a fun game.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a lot of fun. Let's see.
Metaphor was the game that I was trying to play through that I had trouble with.
Metaphor
ReFantazio.
Do you use hot high glue or do you use shelf stable? I think shelf stable is.
Shelf stable. I'm lazy.
Why would you want hot?
It's the genuine stuff. Like it's old school.
Genuine.
You get a little double boiler pot or something ready to go. It's just always there. You just turn it on, wait for it to warm up.
Feels like what I would do with a wax.
Yeah.
You have my little wax.
And I think if you want a more natural product, the hot hide glue is going to get you there. If you want something that is kind of, I think, the best of both worlds, old brown glue is a great option. That is something that you do want to heat up a little bit, but it comes in a bottle. It is in a liquid state, but it doesn't flow as well until you heat it up. And remember, we ran into Patrick Edwards at WIA. And I had a good conversation with him about his glue.
Yeah.
So Old Brown Glue is the brand you want to look at for that.
Old Brown Glue.
Yeah, and that's where you get, I believe it's like more organic products in there, whereas Titebond is going to add some things and additives to make it completely shelf stable and completely liquid enough to apply at room temperature.
I just wanted to give Blindman C a shout out. He's been with us, or they've been with us since 2008.
Holy cow, that's a long time ago.
Yeah. Thank you for being here.
That was back before I looked like a dork, Nicole.
You've always looked like a family. Remember when we all got in there?
I actually enjoy that.
I kind of do too.
We did like the little putt-putt place, cleaned it all up.
We cleaned up a putt-putt place.
The kids are playing a lot of Lethal Company.
We've been playing
together.
Lethal Company. I'm going to give my son a shout out because he's been making and editing videos.
And she's like, okay,
yeah,
boop, boop, boop. And then the kids roar as she gets destroyed by some monster in a wall.
So if you want to make my son's day, go check out his channel. It's Pizza Bite with BYTE. So
and it's all family.
Oh, look at him. I'm so impressed with him.
Yeah, he's doing some editing.
This is him. Oh, he's really changed his channel up.
Still won't edit my shorts though. He's getting the skills, but refuses to use them for good.
He did his own. He did his own banner.
Yeah, look at him go.
I'm impressed. He only has 15 subscribers. So.
Well, after today, he'll have a whole 20.
He'll have a whole 20.
That's what we do. That's the power of the morning show.
He's 13, so don't expect much.
What else?
All right, we are almost done. I have a few more saved questions. Alex wanted to know, is Nicole getting more of her mechanical ornaments this year? I'm done.
I don't think the tree can hold anymore.
It can't.
She turns that thing on in the basement, and it sounds like someone's grinding coffee.
I love it so much.
It's so loud.
I am a huge, huge fan of vintage Hallmark motion ornaments. We're talking the 80s and 90s. You plug them into the lights and they just kind of do their thing. It makes so much noise. I love it so much. I put the tree downstairs, and I think I told you, I'm just going to leave that tree up all year round because it's a pain in the butt, right? It's so hard to get those lights to go into the socket.
It's just in the basement.
It's just in the basement.
Nobody cares.
It's right next to my craft room. Jack Dolby, hey Jack.
Hey Jack.
Mark, do you recall the wood structure that you used, penofin, for the finish? Was it durable, or were you not there long enough to see the effects? Got to repair and finish for an outdoor project in the sun.
Yeah, I wasn't really there long enough to see the extended life of that thing. But in the time that I was there,
pergola?
Yeah, the pergola in the backyard. The time that I was there, I was actually very impressed with that stuff. It is not something you want to put a thick coat on. This is not something that is going to crack in the sun because, again, it's not a thick layer of poly. It's kind of like, get some on the surface and then wipe off the excess. And I was pleasantly surprised with how well that thing held up. I had it for over a year and wasn't inclined to reapply. It might have even been 2 years. I wasn't inclined to reapply in that window of time. So these things don't last forever. The whole point of that product is that you will be reapplying it at some point, but the reapplication won't involve like removing flaking finish, right? You're just basically, if you can sand it, great. If not, just reapply it and apply a very thin coat and it should be good. So I think penofin red specifically was what I used on that. And that stuff was great. It stinks. But good thing you're outside because it stinks bad.
Penofin red, huh?
Yeah, pretty good.
I got a question here from Eric. He is building the Guild hybrid workbench.
Oh, cool.
I have a concrete garage floor. Do I need to add glue sizing or rubber pads to the legs to prevent moisture wicking? The garage is heated, insulated, and relatively dry. Or epoxy.
So I don't know that it would matter. I don't know that it's going to be a problem if you don't do it. What I do know is it's not hard to do it now. So why not? Whether you do rubber pads or put a little epoxy in the feet or glue size, whatever you want to use, I would go with epoxy. I've done that on outdoor furniture and it works pretty well. This is a good precaution to take. So whatever you plan to do, go ahead and do it. It's cheap, it's easy to do now, a lot harder to do later, and certainly if a problem develops and you do get moisture up into those legs.
We have a little video showing how you make the epoxy feet. I'll put a link in the
I think
chat.
if you just search on a site, epoxy feet, you'll find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally think you should do that.
Got last question from
Last
Nikki.
one.
Making a coffee table with maple cookie live edge. What's that?
Those little things,
the
cookies, cross-section cuts.
What kind of base would you make that's not metal or just legs?
I don't know. Here's the problem. Live edge tables, cookies, these are all things that like the top of your table now makes such a visual statement that any base you build tends to detract, which is why a lot of times you see people using metal bases, black painted or powder coated metal bases, because they kind of blend in and they don't really detract from the top. And that's why with something like a round cookie, I don't know exactly what you would do because that is for me an aesthetic design challenge that I've never confronted before. Because anything you do that starts to get into like, oh, this is a nice fine looking base, it will kind of clash with the top. So I don't know. I don't have a great answer. But this is something where if you Google, you're probably going to find a whole bunch of examples and you'll know your taste. You'll either like, oh, I like that or I don't like it. But I'm not going to be the guy to give you a good answer to that because I would struggle with this decision too.
Yeah. Well, even Doc at Mateo's school, they had that big lawn, and he was like, oh, I guess we're going to put some...
A big live edge board for like almost like a, not quite a conference table, but like a big sofa table or, hall table.
Yeah.
But coming up with a good leg design that doesn't just look clunky or look like it's interfering with what the top is doing, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's very difficult.
Alan H. wants to know, have you used a digital readout on a router table? I was looking at Wixie and eye gauging alternatives for my GISM.
No.
Don't you have a Wixie?
I have a Wixie gauge as an angle gauge for the table saw.
Okay.
If it works, I think it's probably great. There are some of these things that kind of like, they're good in theory, but in actual use, they don't work as well as you hope they would. I can tell you my planer has a digital readout that allows me to move my table up and down. I adore it because it's accurate and it works and it's always working. Sometimes the gauges that go on as a aftermarket product onto a tool don't hold their settings, or you basically are using it for relative changes. Excuse me. So you set it up for something. If it turns off and it resets, that sucks. I had one on my planer that did that. And I'm like, what is the point if it's not, so basically the only way I could use it is if I make a cut and I go, I'd like to go a couple thousandths thinner. So I would reset it and then take it to a negative couple of thousandths and then rerun my cut. And I'm like, that is just not practical. It doesn't really work. So if it's an always on sort of thing, if it always remembers your setting, great. But here's the problem with the router table. You change the bit. Now the setting has to be redone. So think about those things. Think about the practical applications if you're going to use it a lot. But for me personally, it's something that I think I would get more frustrated with. Having to reset it all the time would probably drive me nuts. So, but that doesn't mean they don't work. It's just know what you're getting into.
Speaking of bits, Andrew wants to know where's a good spot to buy a honkin' big flush trim router bit and pattern bit.
I like the Whiteside Ultimate flush trims. You can find them on Amazon. They make it with the top bearing. They make it with the bottom bearing. They make it with, I believe, a bearing on the top and the bottom.
I'm pretty sure we've talked about those before.
Yeah, well, they're probably in our Amazon store.
Yeah.
Those are great. It's big. I don't know that I would call it big honkin', because if you want a big honkin', then you got to go to the Big Daddy bit by William Ng.
Does he still sell those?
I do not know.
Oh.
I'm assuming he does. I mean, he's still doing his thing over there.
Yeah. Which one would you recommend on the white sides?
None of those.
None of those.
It's that family.
It's this family.
They look like that.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's what did you Google?
I Googled Whiteside.
Put the word ultimate in there.
Ultimate.
Yeah, Whiteside Ultimate flush trim. And it's like a 3-piece set that you can get. That's where we start to see them.
There we go. Ooh, they're expensive.
You want the good stuff, you got to pay for it.
Oh, okay.
They didn't specify that they wanted it cheap.
Well, they said under $700.
Well, that I can do for you.
How much is Williams?
Oops. I Googled Big Daddy Bit and accidentally spelled Big Daddy Butt.
Oh, you're silly. All right, here's the bit that, the white size bit that Marc was talking about.
It looks like you can still buy them. Big Daddy pattern bit, $155 at William Ng's website. So just Google Big Daddy Bit, not Big Daddy Butt, and you will find it.
I think that does it for us.
That
We're at
does
the
it
top
for
of
us.
the we're at the top of the hour. We
Well,
like to keep this to an hour.
Let's do a marathon. Hour 2, let's go. All right, well, thank you for
Yes.
hanging out with us. Thank you for tolerating our shenanigans. And we hope you guys have a wonderful week leading up to the holidays. Exciting times.
Exciting times.
Lots of sweater wearing
Are we
days
gonna do
to come.
any like giveaway Christmas shows or anything?
That's for you to decide.
Oh, okay. Hey, do you want to give away a guild project?
Sure.
Hey, you want a guild project?
Anybody want a guild
All right.
project? How about we give somebody the bundle, Frank's bundle?
Yeah, let's give them a bundle.
Somebody's going to get a free bundle
All right.
today.
Say bundle in the chat.
Bundle. Do it quickly.
Hopefully it's not too laggy. So
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I will call the fiber guy again. And
Please do.
I mean, it was so disappointing. I thought it was going to be installed, and they're like, oops, the line's on the other side of the road, so we're going to have to do construction. I'm like, well, sucks to be you. Do your job.
I'll pay you to do it.
Bring that fiber over here.
Get the fiber.
Let's go. I know that I'm like the only customer here on this side that would benefit from doing that work.
Ton of people already left. Oh, here we got the bundles coming.
Well, then they missed out. Your chances of winning just went up.
Your chances are winning. You never know what we're going to do here.
Never know.
I do think if you call them, can you say we'll pay for the...
I said, look, what will it take?
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes they do things like that.
Yeah.
You might have to pay a little bit, but they're just not. They're not interested, Nicole.
Alex, he's
No
such
means
a
no.
silly guy. He says you should Google it in the Big Daddy Butt and JCPenney.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a bunch of bundles
Okay,
coming
ready?
in. Yeah.
And
So I'm going to
Stop.
Oh, look at that! It is
Who it am?
Alan H. at
Oh,
Big
Big
H Works
Nice.
bundle.
So how do they get it?
Alan, email me, Nicole@thewoodwhisperer.com. And
this-
I'll get you hooked up.
If you already have a guild account, this will make it a lot easier. But if not, we'll have to set you up with a
set
guild
you,
account and give you that course.
Cool beans.
2 courses, actually.
2. Those.
Okay, that's it.
Have a great weekend, everybody.
Yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging with us.
See you next Friday.
We'll see you next week.
Or actually, no, not just Friday. We're going to do the watch party on Thursday
I thought you said Wednesday.
or Wednesday.
Check.
Yeah.
Because she's not sure. Neither am I.
Bye.
Bye.